Well, hello. Welcome to another edition of Suzy's Las Vegas. I've got a wonderful guest today and a longtime friend. His name is Ken Walther, and we're going to talk about Ken, and I want him to tell me his story because he's got quite a past. Hi, Ken. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me today. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll tell you some stuff.
I want to hear. You won't believe what we're going to hear today.
Yeah. Well, my background is I retired from the CIA after 27 years, and the CIA works primarily overseas, and so I spent most of my career in foreign countries. And in fact, my little claim to fame is I worked in 102 countries and on many continents and
Wow.
different hemispheres. So people always ask me that, how in the hell did you get in the CIA?
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was born in this little town in New Mexico just in 1944 when the war was winding down.
Uh-huh.
There was a population of about 800 people or something. And my grandma and grandpa were like the pioneers out there at this little
Really?
whistle stop.
Yeah.
And so eventually I grew up in El Paso, which was a little
Oh,
bit
you
of
were
a
in El
rough town.
Paso.
Yeah, I spent my youth there.
Yeah, wow.
And so...
That's quite a place.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And you survived.
Yes, walked across the bridge and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Vietnam War was going on at that time, and my mom advised me to join the Army, and I thought, well, she just wants to get rid of me.
Yeah.
But she had something planned. She knew a special unit in the Army that I could qualify for, so I went to a
Really?
thing called Army Security Agency,
Oh, my
which
goodness.
was, before NSA was a common word, it was their tactical SIGINT collectors in crazy areas. And I was a SIGINT collector in tactical situations in Southeast Asia for 3 years.
Wow.
And so when I was getting out of that, I already had top secret crypto clearances. I'd studied Korean and Mandarin, and so I wrote my application to the FBI and to the agency on my mom's behest. And I said, they're not going to hire me. I'm just, a ground pounder.
Yeah.
Well, the letter came back from the FBI and said, well, son, go get your CPA or your law degree and then come back and talk to us. Well, the agency said, wait a minute. You've already got top secret crypto clearances. I've had combat experiences. I've had all this stuff. And when can you be in D.C.?
Wow.
So that was the start of my career.
Oh, my goodness. So when was that, Ken? How old were you?
Well, I turned 21 in Korea,
Okay.
and then I got out of the Army in 68,
Uh-huh.
64 to 68. So the agency hired me in 69. And that was...
I bet you could tell some stories, couldn't you?
I'll try.
We want to hear more.
Yeah. Well, the group I went into in the agency was an easy one to go into. It was in a communications sector. And so I worked there for quite a few years. Well, one tour in Africa and one tour in Bangkok. And then they hired me into a special group that I stayed the rest of my career in. And we did the real
deal.
clandestine stuff.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. See, you opened that door. What is, I know you can't probably say, but what is the most interesting thing that's happened to you since a lot of it, huh?
Yeah, there's no real one thing. There's a lot of great operations we did that were significant.
Okay.
And I've told some of those operations when I speak to like veterans groups or stuff like that.
Sure.
If people are interested.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to come back and tell you an op or two.
Yeah.
Within parameters.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would say the takedown of a terrorist group in Spain, and I was married to Lena at this time. We met, let me go back.
Yeah.
Lena and I
ask
met
you.
in Bangkok in 1977.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. That was
See,
my
we're
second.
learning all. Hi, Lena. How you doing?
Yeah. So we, she'll see this.
Yeah.
So
You met in Bangkok.
Bangkok, and she was working for the Swedish embassy. It was her first tour of duty, and it was my many tours. But
Yeah.
a friend of mine who turned out, I worked with, who turned out to be our best man,
Yeah.
he said, Ken, there's a cocktail party tonight, embassy cocktail party. You want to come? And I said, hell no. I said, I don't like those things. He said, well, there's going to be some Swedish chicks. So that
Okay, Swedish chick.
that intrigued me. So I said, yeah, I'll come right over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how we met.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You guys have been together for a long time.
nearly 45 years.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a long
That's a
time.
good thing. And you have children and
We have 2
any-
boys.
yeah,
They're
grandchildren?
Here in Vegas.
yeah.
1 grandchild.
Wow.
So that was a fortunate thing to meet I call her my little princess. And
Yeah. Well, she is. She's wonderful. Yeah. So let's get back to
Yeah,
your
spooky stuff.
Yeah, I want to get back to a little spooky stuff before we
Okay.
talk about your life up to date.
Yeah. Well, in the agency, the CIA has many offices and directorates.
Okay.
I primarily worked in what they call the Directorate of Science and Technology. And our group was the ones that built all the spy gear that was used all over the place, and I was
Wow.
dumb enough to have to go deploy it wherever they needed stuff done. So that's how I learned all of these things. We were really well trained. If we weren't on an operation, we were training, and it was fun. But all the spy gear, everything from miniature cameras to secret writing to video to anything like that, the agency was the premier sponsors.
They had the
of it.
best of
Yeah.
everything.
We had a big budget, and we had good contractors, major corporations, and we had our own engineers too.
Uh-huh.
So once I got in that, they would deploy you to wherever they needed something done. So I worked counterterrorism, counter-narcotics, counter-espionage, arms interdiction, stuff like that.
Well, were you ever in harm's way?
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
They weren't
did they ever
successful.
anybody ever grab you or what?
No.
Oh, thank God. Yeah.
I was more worried about getting shot than grabbed.
Yeah.
And that happened a few times. We had to also learn surreptitious entry.
What's
to get
that?
in, who you sneak into someone's house through breaking their locks, or not breaking, picking their locks, or
Yeah.
manipulating their stuff. So we had to learn how to be good bad guys.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you something about, I used to give talks to the high schools about careers in intelligence.
Yeah.
I'd start off by asking them, how many people like to travel? Oh, I do. How many people, are interested in technology and stuff? Oh, me too. And I said, well, you should consider one of the intelligence agencies. There's 16 intelligence agencies.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have, including DIA and
Yeah.
Defense Intelligence Agency
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, invariably, in whatever class I was talking to, someone would raise their hand and say, so how many men did you have to kill? And that's not what we do.
No.
And so I would answer back, how much information or intel do you get from a dead person,
Yeah.
So the agency is not an enforcement agency. We're not cops. We don't arrest people. We're not FBI.
Okay.
We gather intelligence from whatever means it takes to get that, and then we turn that over to the people who can stop the problem. So that's a misconception. Sometimes people think they'll see these movies that
Well,
we
sure.
go in with guns blazing and take
No.
stuff down. We're with the people that we get to go in and take stuff down if necessary. I've worked hostage rescue, incident response teams and stuff like that. And that was pretty good. You don't know what you're getting into specifically. And I've worked with Delta Forces and SEAL Team 6 and people like that who, when you have a hostage situation, there's terrorists holding people hostage.
That has to be
Yeah.
just
We-
heart pounding,
Yeah,
worrying.
it's
and
grueling because it normally lasts 3 days or so before you can take them down. But the thing
3
is,
days.
huh?
3 days to wear
Normally,
them
because
down?
you have to wear the terrorists down through
Yeah.
negotiations
Yeah.
and keep them from killing whoever they've got. So I've worked a couple of those, very good people, and they were successful. No one got killed.
Oh, that's
A
good.
couple of people got hurt, Americans that were captured in a plane, but that's another story.
Wow. When was that?
It was in, I believe, 1979 or, no, 80
Uh-huh.
or 82. I can't
Wow.
remember. But it was a good situation.
Well, then they came back alive, right?
Oh, yeah, they jumped. I'll just tell how they got
Yeah,
hurt.
I want to hear that. Yeah.
They were being held in this plane, by some terrorists who had a bomb on board, some dynamite.
Wow.
And they thought they could escape there by the emergency exits. So they popped the door, and we were observing them with night vision, and we had audio in there. We could hear everything that was going on.
Yeah.
We heard this thing, saw this big flare, and I thought, oh no, the bomb's gone off. Well, they jumped out onto the tarmac, and they went running through the glass windows of the terminal. And I went down there real quick, and one guy had blood coming out here, and he was bleeding all over. And so it turned out that when he popped the emergency thing, it took off his ring finger.
Oh. Yeah, yeah.
And that was pretty scary because he's wondering what happened to his ring and his finger. So next day when we liberated the plane, we found his finger. It's too late then to put it back on.
It's only a matter of time to,
and this was
minutes
too
or
much
hours,
time.
isn't it?
But we were able to use his information to help that stuff. Anyway, I've got a lot of stories like that we would take up too much time explaining.
Yeah.
So
you were with him, what, 27?
27.
27 years. Wow. And then you retired, and when did you and Lena come to Las Vegas?
In late 96, 97.
Okay.
And we started a
So why
laser
did you come to Las Vegas?
Because this is a very international place. It's a fun place.
Yeah.
And at that time we were opening a business that it was a good business climate, and I like no tax stuff.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we came here and opened a thing called Laser Tech, and we put images inside crystal with a laser without disturbing the surface. We were the first ones to commercial that technology in the North American hemisphere.
Do you still do it, or?
No. That was very grueling, but we had to do patent fights against some big guys like United Distillers and so on. So it was tough, but we were very successful with that.
That's good.
So we sold the company, it went public, and so on.
Uh-huh.
But that was a fascinating thing. I've always liked technology, and I didn't know how to do that, so I learned.
Yeah. Well, it sounds
and we
like
had
it.
5 real brilliant Russian scientists working for us here in Vegas.
Oh, you do?
We did.
And you did?
We'd bring them over on H-1B visas, and because no one else could do that work here.
Yeah.
So we built our equipment and software. So that doesn't sound like something the spook would do, but
no. Well, but what's nice is, I mean, you're very diversified. All the things that you've done and Lena has done. I mean, you're probably going to write a book on this. You probably need to, don't you, for you and Lena, about your life?
I'm very good at procrastinating on writing.
Are you?
Yeah, but Lena's been on me for years.
Yeah.
She wants me to do it before I go nuts.
Well, okay, let's fast forward to now. When did you two get involved in awareness as prevention? Because that is a stellar organization. I had Lena on before, and we talked about it. That was her second time on. And you two, how did that come about? How did it start, if you don't mind me asking?
As you know, Lena was the Swedish consul here.
Yeah.
And she, at 2 different times, rescued 2 Swedish women who were being trafficked.
Oh, wow.
And one of them had been impregnated by her pimp, and she couldn't get away, but she had to come in and get some paperwork done, so he was with her. And he said, you don't talk to anybody and stuff. She said, well, I have to talk. So Lena told her in Swedish to contact me later and speak Swedish, and she'd help her. And so she called her up later. The woman who was being trafficked called and said, come and save me, come and get me out of here. She said, no, I'm not going there. He'll kill us both.
Yeah.
She said, you go to Shade Tree or something like that, grab that baby and get out when you can, and from there I'll take it over. So she was able to issue emergency passports to get her out of the country, and also advised her not to put the baby on the birth certificate. And so that's how she got started. Then another one popped up, and she was a well-educated lady, and she got caught in this stuff. And so she was getting interested in it, and she was giving a talk at UNLV one day. And a little lady raised her hand and said, so how do you prevent this sort of thing? Well, she said, awareness is a prevention. And I said, that's a damn good name.
Yeah,
so we'll keep that name. And that was in February 10 years ago.
Wow.
So we give talks, we give events and things like that to make people aware, because if you're not aware, you'll never see what's going on. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
And she's great at talking to people, and she's very empathetic, and
Yeah.
I don't talk.
Yes, you do. You're talking now.
I don't talk to the people that need help.
Yeah. Well, it's quite a, it's quite a subject. The awareness is prevention, and you guys have really made a difference here. I guess in the airports you have the numbers to call.
We're just a part of getting that program going.
Yeah.
But Lena's a part of the Southern Nevada Human Trafficking Task Force with LVMPD, and she's in their outreach committee, and she does a lot of stuff with
Is it
Metro.
worse than we know?
Pardon?
Is it worse than most people know? The human
Well,
trafficking?
it depends on how much they've listened to us. But
Yeah.
a lot of people are not aware of the gravity.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come to Vegas and they think, well, everything goes here. And it doesn't.
No.
And it's not fair to the kids are being manipulated primarily through the internet now. You wouldn't
Wow.
believe the different ways that traffickers have to get to the kids.
Like how, Ken?
Well, they can go through things that look good to the kids, like OnlyFans. It's a group where you sign up to be a subscriber to watch OnlyFans, and then you can be a content provider, and that means you get to upload stuff.
Oh boy.
And they get the kids to upload more and more.
Pretty
bad
soon
stuff.
they know all
Well,
kinds.
they know all about them, and then they can sometimes meet to arrange a meeting and recruit them. But right now, there's a thing going around that Linda talks a lot on. It's called sextortion. It's an extortion through using of sexual procedures. And what they do, and they'll befriend a kid and pretend they're another kid and say, oh, send me some pictures because I really love you and stuff. And then they'll send one picture and say, well, now, if you don't send me more, this is going to your grandma and to your mom and dad. We know everybody, and we're going to get you exposed to the internet. So they'll say, either provide us more or give us money and get out of this thing. Well, kids, they can't raise a lot of money. And these kids, these traffickers or extortionists are demanding thousands of dollars. It's caused some kids to commit suicide. So getting the kids...
How do we stop it? That's my next question.
One of the things that Lena tells them, a very simple solution, and it's foolproof: don't send anybody anything.
No.
Then you can't have a content.
Correct.
So that's the thrust of what sextortion is. And she gives talks on this. She's given talks to National Missing Exploited Children's thing in D.C. She's given talks to Homeland Security. And she's good at talking about that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed when she was on my show and all the things that you guys are involved in. I mean, most people, they look at Las Vegas and they think, oh, well, I'm in a secure little area, like I'm up at the Ridges, or say you're in Anthem, or wherever we are, and it can't happen here. That's the misconception, isn't it?
It is. There's been a lot of cases where kids, young girls especially, from very good families, that get rooked into this. Sometimes they're plied with drugs, sometimes it's whatever, but to be trafficked, you have to have force, fraud, or coercion, and that's what the traffickers employ.
Wow.
And so a lot of them are living at their home in their nice homes, and they're sneaking out at night to go meet their handler. And he gives them drugs, or he'll give them this, he'll give them that.
And they get addicted to all this, and it's a terrible
And then there's the
circle.
other side of the coin where they will beat them or whatever if they don't comply.
Wow.
And the age is what's shocking to me, from 11 on.
11. Wow. Ken, we'll be right back. We're going to take a break.
Welcome to Diamond Travel, your getaway to unparalleled luxury cruises and unforgettable safari experiences.
Hi, I'm Suzy Saline Lipsky, founder of Diamond Travel. At Diamond Travel, we redefine luxury travel with curated experiences tailored just for you.
Dive into a world of sophistication with our luxury cruises. setting the bar for elegance and top-notch service. Sail through the crystal-clear waters and let us redefine your notion of opulent relaxation. For those seeking adventure, our tailor-made safaris promise an immersive experience like no other.
Call today while there's still space available. Reservations are filling up fast for this fun-filled experience at sea. Dial 702-778-5037 now and let the waves carry you to a world of unmatched wonder. Bon voyage! If you like our show, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. We really appreciate it. Now I'm back with Ken, and we're going to talk some more. New Mexico. What's in New Mexico that we should talk about, Ken?
Well, as I mentioned, I was born in this little town called Carrizoso, and it's a kind of a Mexican Indian word for tall reeds, but there's no reeds out there. The only thing the town is famous for is what they call the Badlands, or Malpies.
Okay.
Which is just a big 40 square miles of lava flow.
Oh, really?
That is from a long time ago. And we used to go out there as kids. I'd go back and visit my grandparents. It's just filled with rattlesnakes. So we'd go out there and look for the nests and so on like that. So New Mexico is a beautiful
state. It's making me
state.
shake just thinking about it.
You don't want to go there.
No.
But New Mexico's beautiful. I was born not too far from, Roswell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for all the UFOs and stuff
yeah.
like that. And we saw, when I was a little kid, we saw the all kinds of strange stuff. But of course, we had White Sands Proving Grounds nearby in Alamogordo, New Mexico. So, it's nothing really you can put your finger on what it is.
Yeah.
But I think there's stuff out there. I mean, I study a lot on what's going on in, or what they found in Egypt.
Yeah.
And also in the Altiplanos in South America, the straw ships, that the raw expedition and those sort of things. How can they be the same thing in the tallest lake, Lake Titicaca, as there is on the Nile?
Yeah.
They didn't have it FedEx in those days. but I love studying that stuff too.
Yeah.
And I love Egypt too. I had some good experiences in getting to go to the newly discovered at that time, the newly discovered tomb of the architect, the actual architect that put those things together.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just a little like a root cellar when you go down in, and then it opens up into a huge underground pyramid. But there's no pyramid.
That had to be just amazing.
And I happen to be friends with a little guy whose family owned all the transportation from mules to limos, and so he took me around on horseback and stuff. So,
Wow.
But anyway, the UFOs, I don't know. You'll see more and more stuff.
So are
out,
they
but-
really?
Well,
Yeah, of course.
a friend of mine who's, quote, the expert in UFOs, John Alexander, I don't know if you know him, but
I've heard that name.
yeah, he
Yeah.
sometimes gives talks with George Knapp.
Okay.
And he has a book called UFOs, and he confirms that, they're unidentified flying objects. But that doesn't really, it sold a lot of books.
Yeah.
But
But it doesn't, no.
But I believe that, I believe more in the parallel universe type stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
Wow.
But that's not what spooks. Some of the spooky things the agency did, we conducted studies in remote viewing.
Okay, remote viewing. What is that?
That's where you can, some people are adapted to seeing things where they're not at, transporting themselves mentally to a different area.
To a different area.
Remote
Yeah.
viewing. We spent a lot of money on that. And the reason we did it, the agency, was because Russia was doing it. And Russia was, at that time, looked like they were transmitting their thoughts over RF frequency waves that were not modulated with audio or video. But
Wow.
anyway, so that was a fun little gig, too. So the agency isn't just doing one thing or another. It does a lot of different things.
So Ken, you've led a very interesting life, you and Lana both. What do you want to do that you haven't done?
I guess finish my book.
Okay. So did you start it yet?
Yeah.
Are you on page one, or are you chapter 1 or chapter 2?
Actually, I don't. I've changed my mind several times on how I want to write it, because
Okay.
all the places I've been geographically and chronologically, it would be too big. I don't read big books anymore.
No.
I read little books. They're big font, lots of white space, and so I think I'm going to have to write a bunch of little books.
Bunch of little ones, just short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that would be better.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Wow.
But one of the things, too, that people should know is the wives of officers that are stationed overseas are very helpful, and there's some very unappreciated sometimes.
Well, yeah.
But Lena helped me on a couple of things. I was in a declared status. That means the locals knew who I was. The local intelligence services and police knew who I was. So that meant I couldn't do any ops except what they knew about. But that's not true. Sometimes we would do stuff and do things because she was kind of like my cover for being in a place or something like that.
Oh, well, that's good.
Plus, being a Swede, she was able to talk to people, and people would come to her knowing that I worked for the government, and we got information from that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
So she's been helpful your whole life.
she has.
Yeah. Well, how many? Once again, how many years have you two been together?
Over 44.
Wow.
going to 45.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, every time I talk to Lena, there's always something different going on, with you're growing, you move forward, which is what I like. Yeah. So you do talks too, don't you? For like different groups also. I think
Yeah,
you've got one coming tomorrow, don't you?
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a good one. If it's at the Ahern Hotel, and it's called the Bob Mayhew Luncheons, and it's run by Joe Brown.
Yeah.
Joe Brown is very plugged in everywhere in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
And he's had this going since we had our first meetings over at
At
Las Vegas Country Club.
Yeah, I used to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now they're at the Ahern Hotel, which is a very nice place to have it.
So they do it once a month, don't they? What is it?
First Wednesdays.
Okay.
The first Wednesday of every
Yes.
month. That's what a deal.
Yeah.
You get a plated 3-course dinner, excellent speakers, for $40.
You can't beat that.
And a great, the food is good.
Yeah.
And it's
And-
just friendly. It's a very
Well, if
friendly
people
place.
want to do that, say they don't get to tomorrow, but they want to, get involved in the Bob Mayhew, how do they do that? Is it on?
Well, how about we can make something that you can put on your site
I
sometime?
would like that, yeah.
Every month they'll send out a flyer with who's speaking and stuff like that.
Okay. Then they can join a mailing list and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
you have to RSVP. The only thing is the Ahern has
Yeah.
to know how much food to prepare.
True.
And so it's
like with every-
$40 if you RSVP. It's $50 if you don't.
Yeah.
So it's.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, it does, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, I enjoyed having you. I hope to have you
Thank
back
you.
on the show again.
Thank you much. I'd be glad to come back.
That was our guest for today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you soon.